Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a mix of companies you guys have asked us to cover.
Yeah, it's a great selection.
From,
A good variety.
big names like Amazon and Kellogg's
Uh-huh.
to some companies you might not know as well, like
Mhm.
Archer Aviation
Uh-huh.
and SoundHound AI.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a good reflection of, I think, some of the big trends that are happening right now.
Yeah.
We're seeing the rise of fintech, the continuing dominance of cloud computing, and
Yeah,
obviously the crypto world's always changing, so.
it's a wild world out there.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to give you a snapshot of each company, understand what they've been up to, and why investors might be taking notice.
Absolutely.
So, you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
All right. First up, it's a company everybody knows,
Mm-hmm.
Kellogg's. I mean, who doesn't have a favorite Kellogg's cereal?
Right.
But here's what's interesting. They're splitting into 3 separate businesses.
Yeah, this is more than just like a corporate shakeup. It's a strategic move to focus on high growth areas like plant-based foods, for example. So they're looking to challenge companies like Beyond Meat.
That's a bold move.
But they do have, that brand recognition and distribution network, so they have that advantage at least.
Yeah. Speaking of bold moves, how about electric flying taxis?
Oh, yeah.
That's what Archer Aviation is working on with their eVTOL aircraft.
eVTOL stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing. So basically like a helicopter, but electric. And these aircraft are designed for quick trips between city centers. Great for congested areas.
It sounds very Jetsons, but are we really there yet?
It's getting there. I mean, think of it like a flying Uber.
Yeah.
And they've already got United Airlines pre-ordered 200 of their Midnight aircraft.
Wow, so that's some serious credibility right there for Archer. But can they really make this a reality? I mean, it just seems like there's so many hurdles.
You're right. There are a lot of regulatory challenges. And the tech, it needs to be proven safe, reliable on a large scale.
Yeah,
It's a big vision.
it's huge.
Definitely one that could transform how we get around cities.
For sure. So from the skies to the digital world,
Yeah.
let's talk about GameStop.
Oh, yeah.
You remember the whole meme stock frenzy?
Yeah, how could we forget?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to move beyond that
Right.
and reinvent themselves
Of course.
for the digital age.
Yeah, and they've got a new leadership team that's really all about e-commerce.
Mhm.
They launched an NFT marketplace. They're focused on optimizing their costs, basically trying to,
Right.
turn a traditional brick and mortar retailer into a digital powerhouse.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough transition. Can they really
Well,
compete, with companies that were born in the digital world? What?
It's a good question. I mean, they've got a lot to prove to show they can execute this plan,
Yeah.
but they do have a really loyal customer base,
Yeah.
and they've got name recognition with gamers. So, that's something.
All right. So next up, we have a company that's been kind of quietly profiting
Uh-huh.
from the whole global shipping crisis. ZM Integrated Shipping.
Right, ZM. They were in the right place at the right time to take advantage of those sky-high freight rates. Allowed them to expand their fleet, pay out big dividends to shareholders, so, classic value play. But, investors need to be cautious, I think.
Yeah, so what happens when freight rates go back down? I mean, is ZM a short-term thing, or can they keep this up?
It really depends on the global trade recovery and how well they adapt to the market conditions as they change.
Right.
Because shipping's it's a cyclical industry.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so from shipping containers to artificial intelligence, let's talk about SoundHound AI. So they're more than just a music identification app. They're a big player in voice AI technology.
Yeah, and voice AI it's changing how we interact with technology all over the place. Smart homes, cars, customer service, you name it. And SoundHound's right at the forefront. What I think is interesting about them is that they can go beyond simple voice commands. They're really trying to understand the meaning, the context of what we're saying.
That's impressive. But they're up against some pretty stiff competition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do they stack up against the giants like Google and Amazon in that space?
Yeah, it's true. It's a tough market. But I think they've got a good chance with their diverse applications and their partnerships.
Okay. Now let's talk about SoFi Technologies.
Oh.
You can think of them kind of like the cool tech-savvy kid on the financial block.
Yeah.
They want to be your one-stop shop for all things finance, from loans and investments,
That's right.
banking.
And they just got a big win. They got approved for a bank charter,
Oh, wow.
which is huge. It allows them to offer a lot more services and compete more directly with banks.
So they're going from like a fintech startup
Yeah.
to a full-blown financial institution.
Right.
That's pretty cool. So who are they targeting with this?
They're going after millennials and Gen Z. So those who are digital natives, comfortable with doing everything online.
Right.
But they do still have to prove that they can be profitable over the long term in a very, very competitive market.
Okay, so it's time to talk about the giant in the room, Amazon.
The 800-pound gorilla.
I mean, we all know they're massive, but they just keep pushing into new territory.
Always.
And their latest move is into healthcare. They acquired One Medical.
Yeah, healthcare's a huge market, and Amazon sees an opportunity.
Yeah.
They want to disrupt it. They're betting they can use their tech, their logistics, to make healthcare more efficient. Imagine, you manage your whole healthcare journey through Amazon, scheduling appointments, refilling prescriptions.
That's a big change. But doesn't doesn't their track record with data privacy
Right.
worry you a bit? Especially when we're talking about health information.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. They're going to have to address those privacy issues directly and navigate the regulations of healthcare very carefully.
Absolutely. All right, let's ride the roller coaster that is the crypto world
Oh, yeah.
with Coinbase Global.
Mm-hmm.
So despite all the volatility in the market, they're still a leading platform for buying and selling and storing crypto.
And they're not just an exchange anymore. They're building all kinds of services. They're offering staking. They've got an NFT marketplace.
Right.
So they're diversifying.
So can they maintain their top spot as the crypto market keeps changing? I mean, the regulators are coming after crypto.
Right. Well, their future depends on, the growth of crypto in general.
Right.
And how well they adapt to regulations. It's a higher risk, high reward situation.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, next up, a company that's taking on the giants in the semiconductor market, Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD. They've been making some serious waves with their processors and graphics cards.
Yeah. The Ryzen CPUs and Radeon GPUs have been winning over some market share thanks to, their performance, their pricing. And they've been making strategic acquisitions like Xilinx, which specializes in adaptive computing. And that's a key tech for data centers and AI.
So they're diversifying their offerings, strategically positioning themselves for growth in the future. But it's a tough industry, right?
Yeah.
What are the main challenges for them?
Yeah, the semiconductor industry is brutal. I mean, it's so competitive, and AMD needs to keep innovating.
Yeah.
The supply chain issues are also a challenge for everybody right now.
Right.
So they've got to manage all that and maintain their edge.
Wow. We covered a lot of ground already, from giants to disruptors.
Yeah.
Each company facing its own battles. What stands out to you the most from this first group?
I think it's just remarkable how different all these companies are. We've talked about cereal,
Yeah.
shipping containers, flying taxis, artificial intelligence. I mean, it just shows you how dynamic the business world is and how much things are changing in every industry.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all need to stay curious and keep learning
Right.
and adapt to change.
Yeah.
But before we move on to the next group of companies, what sparked your interest? What questions do you have?
I'm really curious about the viability of some of these ambitious ideas, like those flying taxis. Are we really going to see those all over our cities?
Right.
Is GameStop going to pull off this digital transformation? Those are things I definitely want to look into more.
I'm with you. All right. Are you ready to dive into the next group of companies?
Absolutely. Let's do it. All right. So for our next company, let's switch gears a bit
Okay.
to the clean energy space. We're talking about First Solar.
Right.
They've been around
Yeah.
for a while, but with the demand for solar technology just going up and up,
Right.
they're back in the spotlight.
Yeah, what's interesting about them is they don't use the traditional
Right.
silicon panels.
Yeah.
They use something called thin film solar modules.
Hmm.
What's the advantage there?
Well, thin film, it's usually cheaper to produce, and it actually performs better in high temperatures
Oh, wow.
and low light. So that makes them really good for those large-scale solar farms,
Yes.
especially in places where the climate's a bit extreme.
Okay. So with the solar market booming,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine they're facing some pretty tough competition out there.
Oh, absolutely. The solar industry it's super competitive right now with lots of companies fighting for market share.
Yeah.
But First Solar has a solid track record, and they're still innovating.
Yeah.
They just announced plans to build a new factory right here in the U.S.,
Wow.
which is, that's a big sign of confidence.
That's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
It seems like government policies and incentives are playing a role in that decision, right?
Oh, for sure. The Inflation Reduction Act, with all those tax credits and incentives for clean energy, it's been huge for solar.
Right.
We're seeing a lot of investment flowing into the sector.
Yeah.
And First Solar is, they're in a great spot to take advantage of that.
Okay, so let's switch gears again
All right.
and dive into the world of biotech with CRISPR Therapeutics.
CRISPR.
They're on the cutting edge of gene editing. I mean, this is technology that could revolutionize medicine.
It really is groundbreaking. It allows scientists to just edit genes
Right.
with incredible precision, which opens up, all kinds of possibilities
Yeah.
for treating those genetic diseases that we thought were incurable before.
Yeah, I remember reading about their treatment for sickle cell disease. That seems like a major breakthrough.
It is. And they're making progress with therapies for other serious diseases too, like cancer.
Wow.
It's early days, but the potential is just enormous.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But with any kind of revolutionary technology, there are ethical considerations, right? I mean, what are some of the concerns people have about gene editing?
Well, yeah, you're right to bring that up. There are concerns about unintended consequences and the potential for misuse, So as this technology keeps advancing, it's really important that we have strong ethical guidelines and regulations.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Let's talk about a company that's seen incredible growth in e-commerce,
Yeah.
Shopify. They've become, they're the platform for businesses
Yeah.
of all sizes to set up shop online.
I think what's really impressive about Shopify is they've made it so easy for anyone to create a store and start selling. I mean, you don't even need to be tech savvy.
Yeah.
They've really democratized e-commerce.
Yeah, and they're not just like providing a platform.
Right.
They're offering like a whole suite of tools and services to help businesses succeed online.
Yeah.
Like from marketing and payments to shipping, inventory management.
It's a whole package, and that's why they've been so successful. But they're not, they're not immune to the challenges in e-commerce.
Right. So what kind of challenges are they up against?
So the competition it's getting more intense all the time. You've got Amazon, you've got social media platforms, everybody's getting into e-commerce.
Yeah.
And then there's, the economic slowdown.
Right.
People are worried about how that's going to affect consumer spending.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so let's talk about a brand that, needs no introduction.
Right.
Nike, they're the leader in athletic apparel and footwear, but they're not just sitting back and relaxing.
No, they're always innovating, always adapting to the latest trends.
Right.
They've been investing a lot in digital, building up their direct-to-consumer channel, and they're creating personalized experiences for their customers.
Yeah, their marketing is legendary.
Oh, yeah.
They know how to connect with people on an emotional level.
And they're using their platform to take a stand on social issues,
Right.
which resonates with a lot of consumers, especially younger generation.
Absolutely. But, they're a global brand. They're going to face challenges, right? I've been reading about supply chain disruptions and concerns about labor practices in their manufacturing.
Those are definitely issues that they need to address. And then there's, the environmental impact. Sustainability is becoming more and more important for them.
Absolutely. All right. Let's turn our attention to cybersecurity with CrowdStrike. They're a leader in, this sounds very technical, cloud-based endpoint security, which basically means protecting devices like laptops and smartphones from cyber attack.
Yeah, and what makes CrowdStrike stand out is their use of AI, machine learning. Their platform analyzes data from, millions of devices.
Wow.
In real time.
Okay.
To stop those threats before they can even do any damage.
It seems like that kind of proactive approach to security is critical as cyber attacks just get more sophisticated.
Absolutely. And with everybody working remotely, using the cloud, it's created more ways for businesses to be vulnerable.
Right.
So CrowdStrike is in a good position to address those challenges.
But the cybersecurity landscape is changing constantly, right? They have to stay one step ahead.
Yeah. They got to be one step ahead of those hackers.
Right.
They need to keep innovating, keep adapting to stay ahead of the curve. And they're also up against, some tough competition from other big cybersecurity players. It's a really dynamic market.
Okay, so next up we've got a company that, you might not know the name, but they're making some waves in the ad tech world.
Okay.
Trade Desk.
Yeah, Trade Desk, they provide a platform for advertisers to buy and manage those digital ad campaigns across all the different channels, websites, mobile apps, connected TV, you name it.
So they're kind of like a middleman then
Yeah, exactly.
between the advertisers who want to reach those specific audiences
Right.
and the publishers who have that ad space to sell.
Yeah, they make the connection.
Yeah.
And they're using data and automation to make that whole process more efficient, more effective. Another thing that's interesting about them is their focus on privacy,
Yep.
which is, it's a big deal in the ad tech world.
Yeah, trying to balance, effective ad targeting and user privacy, that's a tough thing.
It is. And the whole ad tech world is, it's always changing.
Yeah.
You've got new privacy regulations, new platforms popping up all the time. So Trade Desk needs to navigate those changes very carefully.
All right, so now let's talk about a company that became, a household name during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Zoom Video Communications.
Zoom.
Their video conferencing platform,
Yeah.
just took off.
Right.
And even as things have opened back up, it's still a vital tool for,
Yeah.
everybody.
They were in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And they capitalized on that opportunity really well, made their platform easy to use, accessible, which
Yeah.
is why it got so popular so fast.
And they're more than just a video conferencing tool now. They're adding new features, they're expanding their offerings to become like a whole communications and collaboration platform.
Right.
But they're facing challenges too, right?
Well, the competition is getting more intense.
Yeah,
Microsoft Teams, Google Meet,
right,
everybody's fighting for that market share.
right.
And then there's the whole Zoom fatigue thing
Yeah,
and some concerns about security.
yeah, that's fair. Okay, so finally, let's talk about a company that's been a, tech giant
Mhm.
for decades,
Mhm.
but is now undergoing a pretty massive transformation. IBM. They were the leader in computing,
Yeah,
but they've struggled to keep up with, how quickly
right.
technology has changed.
Yeah, they're trying to reinvent themselves for the cloud era. They've been selling off some of those, legacy businesses,
Right.
focusing on things like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, even quantum computing.
So they spun off their managed infrastructure services business
Yeah.
into a new company called Kyndryl.
Kyndryl, right?
It's a bold move. Right?
Yeah. They're really trying to streamline their operations.
Yeah.
Focus on their strengths. They're also making strategic acquisitions
Right.
to beef up their capabilities
Okay.
in key areas.
But they're up against, the cloud giants,
Yeah.
right? Amazon, Microsoft.
Right.
Can they really regain that top spot
It's a tough road.
as a tech innovator?
It is. It's a tough road, but they're making moves, aggressive moves to adapt and stay relevant.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can pull it off.
All right. So we've explored a lot of companies.
Yeah.
Each one with its own unique challenges and opportunities in this crazy business world.
Yep.
It's amazing to see how they're all adapting and evolving.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is how these companies, even though they're in different sectors,
Right.
they're all dealing with similar things.
Yeah.
Technology changing everything, global competition. They need to constantly innovate to keep up with consumers.
Absolutely. So before we move on to our last group of companies,
Right.
what are your thoughts? What's stood out to you so far?
Well, I think it's fascinating to see how companies like First Solar and CRISPR are using those groundbreaking technologies to tackle big problems in energy and healthcare. And then you see those established players like Nike and IBM figuring out how to stay relevant. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. All right. So are you ready for our final deep dive into the last set of companies?
Let's do it.
Okay, so for this final stretch, let's kick things off with a company that's been making waves in the EV market, Rivian.
Rivian, yeah.
They're not just another Tesla, though. They're
Right.
doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're really focused on those adventure vehicles.
Yeah.
Like their pickup truck, the R1T and the R1S, the SUV.
Yeah.
They're made for off-roading, people who, like the outdoors.
Right. They're going after a
Like-
specific market.
Ex-
And it seems like it's working for them. They've been getting a lot of attention, but they also have that big deal with Amazon
Right.
to build electric delivery vans. How big of a deal is that for them?
I mean, that's huge for them. It gives them a guaranteed production volume.
Right.
And puts their name out there. But like all EV startups, they've got some challenges.
So what are the biggest hurdles they need to clear?
I think scaling up production is tough for any automaker, especially a new one.
Yeah.
They've also got to build out that charging infrastructure, create a good service network. I mean, it's a business that requires a lot of capital.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking. Okay, so from rugged electric vehicles to the world of streaming entertainment, let's talk about Netflix.
Netflix.
They've been the king of streaming for years, but they're facing some serious competition these days.
Yeah, the streaming landscape has become so crowded.
It's wild.
With Disney Plus, HBO Max, Apple TV, plus Ed, everybody's fighting for subscribers. It's a constant battle for content and eyeballs.
Yeah, and Netflix has been feeling the pressure. I mean, they've lost subscribers for the first time in a long time.
Hmm.
Their stock price has taken a hit.
They're trying to adapt, though.
Yeah. How so?
They're investing a ton in their own original content.
Okay.
They're exploring gaming. They're even trying to crack down on password sharing.
So they're trying everything they can
Yeah,
to stay on top.
they're trying to stay ahead.
It's a make or break moment for them.
Yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how it plays out.
Absolutely. So speaking of technology that's shaping the future, let's talk about a pioneer in AI,
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Their GPUs, so those graphics processing units, they're like the brains behind everything, from gaming to self-driving cars.
Right, and NVIDIA's been riding the AI wave really well. Their GPUs they're perfect for those complex calculations that you need for machine learning and deep learning, which is all the foundation of AI.
And they're not just like providing the hardware.
Right.
I mean, they're developing software and platforms to make it easier for developers to create AI applications.
Exactly. They've built a whole ecosystem around AI, which is a huge advantage for them. And they're really pushing the limits of what's possible with AI, self-driving cars, virtual reality. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're doing some incredible things. But even NVIDIA faces challenges, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that they're dealing with?
Well, like the semiconductor industry in general is having all those supply chain problems.
Right.
And the competition is fierce.
Yeah.
Intel, AMD, they're all putting tons of resources into AI.
Right.
So NVIDIA has to keep innovating to stay ahead.
Okay, so now let's dive into the metaverse. We're talking about Meta Platforms.
Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going all in on this idea that we're all going to be, living and working in virtual worlds
Right.
one day.
It's a bold vision, but I think a lot of people are skeptical.
Yeah, I mean,
The metaverse is still very early,
yeah.
and who knows if it'll really live up to all the hype. But they're committed. They're investing billions.
Yeah, I mean, they're building VR headsets. They're creating immersive experiences. They're launching their own virtual currency.
It's a huge bet.
It is, and there are risks, right? I mean,
Of course.
what about privacy?
Yeah.
Safety, addiction? I mean, are these virtual worlds
All valid concern.
going to be healthy?
Yeah, it's a gamble. We'll have to see if it pays off.
Yeah, for sure. So from the metaverse to how we manage our money, let's talk about PayPal.
PayPal, yeah.
They've been a leader in online payments forever. But how are they adapting to this increasingly digital world?
Well, PayPal's become like the default for online transactions. They've got this huge network of users and merchants.
Right.
And they're expanding into other areas like, crypto trading and buy now, pay later.
So they're trying to become more than just a payment processor.
Yeah, they want to be your one-stop shop.
Yeah.
For all things finance. And they're using all their data and technology to personalize things, offer better services. But the competition is coming from every direction.
Yeah.
Banks, tech companies like Apple and Google. I mean, everybody wants a piece of that financial pie.
It's a wild world out there. Okay, so finally, let's wrap things up with a company that's been, a mainstay in the aerospace industry.
Okay.
Boeing.
Boeing, yeah.
They've had their share of troubles lately, but they're still a major player.
Yeah, they're definitely working to recover from, the 737 MAX issues and all the impact that the pandemic had on air travel.
Yeah.
They're focused on safety, innovation, sustainability.
So they're developing new aircraft,
Uh-huh.
like the 777X, which is supposed to be more fuel efficient.
Right. Better for the environment.
Yeah, exactly. And they're investing in all those new technologies like autonomous flight.
Right. The future of aviation.
Yeah, exactly. But they're up against tough competition from Airbus and all these other
Yeah.
up-and-comers in the aerospace market.
It's a dynamic industry. They got to stay ahead of the game.
Absolutely. So, wow, we've gone on quite a journey here through the business world.
We have.
From, those scrappy startups to those established giants. It's been amazing to see how they're all handling this ever-changing landscape.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is that these companies are more than just businesses.
Uh-huh.
They're stories of innovation, of adapting, of resilience.
Right.
They all represent a piece of the big economic puzzle. And by understanding their stories, we can better understand, I think, the forces that are shaping our world.
I couldn't agree more. And to all of our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring, stay curious, ask questions. We've just given you a glimpse into these companies.
The starting point.
But there's always more to discover, so keep diving deep and stay informed.
Until next time.